following is a Galactic Digital Studios production. It's the podcast that has trains and crazy cats running around the background. Trains in the front, crazy cat somewhere over there. I don't know where he is exactly. I know that he is running around like crazy right now. So if you hear him during this podcast, I apologize in advance. But thankfully, cat allergies not included. This is Tech Talk, part of the Closing Tag Network. I am Raul Smith, Head of Development and Design over at Galactic Digital Studios. If you're in the market for video editing, graphic design, logo design, web development, or SEO services for your business, visit Galactic Digital Studios at galacticdigitalstudios.com. That's galacticdigitalstudios.com. Name is right there. Galactic Digital Studios. Out of this world service at down to earth prices. So because I've been gone for a couple weeks and because, schedule's been kind of crazy lately, I wanted to kind of deviate a little bit from the format and release a tech pod this week on a Wednesday. And for today's podcast, I do want to kind of deep dive into something kind of piggybacking off of the previous episode of this particular podcast, and that is working with Next.js 14. So hopefully you'll be able to indulge me on something. That's not it. Hold on. Give me about 2 seconds, yeah? Let's try something real quick, yeah? Okay. Here we go. Okay. So, hopefully you'll be able to indulge me on something today. In that I want to go in here and show off basically what I want to do today is I want to show you how to lay out a template of a website in Next.js. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to do that through something that's already been pre-built. So as you can see, we've already got our pages outlined and we've already got public styles, so on and so forth. So what we're going to do, as the cat sings the song of his people in the background, is we're going to go ahead, and I know Bootstrap is a controversial topic for some, but aside from Tailwind, it is definitely one of the more respected preprocessors for CSS, as the cat continues to sing the song of his people. So we are going to go ahead and install Bootstrap into our Next.js application. We're also going to go ahead and create our components folder right here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and go into our app_app.js file. Now, as you can see, there's not a whole lot here. There's a styles global CSS import, and then there's an export for the app function. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take this out of the equation altogether. So we just deleted the import for global CS or global CSS. You'll forgive me if I'm kind of moving stuff around here. We're going to go ahead and import use effect from React. We're going to also import bootstrap /dist/css /bootstrap.min.css. Now, even though we installed Bootstrap into our Next.js file, we don't have the CSS automatically imported into our Next.js application. So you have to manually do it. So now we're going to go ahead and take out this return. And we're going to go ahead and do our use effect arrow function. And we're going to also require, just as a backup option, bootstrap dist.js bootstrap.js. Obviously, because it's a use effect, we want the dependency set to empty. So now we're going to go ahead and return our Next.js div class name equals container fluid px0. Now, the thing that I learned when I was building the new website for Galactic Digital Studios is that if you don't specify zero padding into your fluid container, it will automatically put a padding there, and that tends to kind of make things a little bit difficult with, getting the website to auto adjust to full screen. That's why I did it that way. Main class name equals main, and you want to make sure that you type class name, not class. Class is a completely different thing in React and Next.js. You don't want to, how do I word this? You don't want to have a conflict, if you will. It's kind of like a resource conflict. By defining class in your Next.js return, it's going to conflict with the class function in JavaScript, and that's going to make things not work. So then here we're going to go ahead and go component page props. So now the basic, well, hold on. We forgot one tiny little thing. Div class name row mx0. Now the same thing with bootstrap row, similar to bootstrap fluid container, is you want to make sure that you emphasize, I don't want any margin on the left or right. So div class name column px0, and again, same thing. It will automatically put in a padding on the left and right if you don't specify that you don't want one. So now we're going to go ahead and do component. I forget what that's called. It's a spread operator, I believe. Page props. So this is where everything is going to come into play. Everything from the pages folder is going to come in to that. So before I go any further, let's go ahead and create our header.js and our footer.js components. And on my end, it's going to appear as green for the simple fact that I have a plugin or extension or whatever it's called. Yeah, it's an extension for GitLab or GitHub. It's basically letting me know, hey, this is a new file that's just been added. Do you want to upload it to your GitHub? Which the answer is no. I don't want to upload it to GitHub yet. So now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and, well, first and foremost, we want to import, because if I just put in a header call, it's going to be like, I have no idea what it is that you want to do here. Components header, and we're going to do the same thing with the footer. Not footsies, footer. Gotta love typing at 10:30 at night. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and call for the header here. And we're going to call for the footer right before we end the main. And that is going to give us our template for all the pages going forward. Now, this is the part that some people don't really pay much attention to when they're building a website, and it drives me up a wall. And that is that we are going to use the footer. No, I don't want to import, sorry. Export default footer. Return, and it's going to be really simple. Div class name, again, gotta go with the class name, not a class. Row px0, and again, we're specifying we don't want padding on the left or right side of this element. We do, however, want to increase the padding on the top and bottom. We're also going to give it a fixed bottom, and basically what that means is it doesn't matter how big or small the page is going to be, the element is going to stay on the bottom of the screen no matter what. Border top, that is self-explanatory, just puts a border on the top of the element. Border black. P class name, and the P is basically a paragraph tag in HTML. Text center. And this is the part that drives me crazy. It's so simple, and it takes like 2 seconds to do in JavaScript, and even less time in like PHP. And yet I see so many websites. I worked on one just a few weeks ago. I see so many websites that don't put this in their copyright, and it drives me crazy. I know I've already talked about this in a previous episode of the Old Closing Tag podcast, but it bears repeating, and especially as we're coming up on New Year's. We've already entered the holiday season. This is being filmed or recorded, I guess I should say, the day after Thanksgiving. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put in our copyright circle C thing that is hard-coded for HTML. This is the part that is going to be very helpful. So brackets, because we are working in React, parentheses, new date, open and close parentheses, dot get full year, open and close parentheses. And I am going to just put in here, hi mom, all rights reserved. What that's going to do is that's going to auto update the year of the copyright. So every year around January 1st, it is going to automatically detect that it's no longer the year that it was before. So in about a month and a week. So let's say 40 days from now. It is going to auto update that year to 2024. So you don't have to do it. It saves developers time, resources, and money. And I cannot stress enough how pivotal it is for a website to look like it is still being worked on and is still, functioning and operating, even if it's like 2 months into a new year and it still says copyright 2023 when it's 2024. I cannot stress how unprofessional that looks. I cannot stress how unprofessional it looks to have a website that says copyright 2017 in the year 2024. It takes 2 seconds to do this in a website, and yet so many don't. It breaks my heart when I see that. So we're going to save it, and now we move on to the next one. We're going to go to the header now. I'm going to stop preaching. All right, so this one is going to be interesting in that we are going to go ahead and import our use state yet again. And we're going to import, no, that one we can pretty much leave alone. Export default header. So now we're going to go ahead and do a function inside of this called close menu. And I'm going to explain why we're doing it this way. So I don't know how familiar you are with something called a hamburger menu. But the hamburger menu is a thing that is used quite often in what's it called? Quite often in mobile websites. So the mobile websites are going to have this hamburger menu regularly in there so that people can access the menu of the website without it taking up a gigantic swath of space up top. So what this close menu function is going to do is it's going to mimic the button close, because right now, as it stands in Next.js 14 and Bootstrap 5, is there's no real way to ensure that when you click on a menu item that the hamburger menu will close. and it gets kind of annoying with it just staying there as you're going from page to page in your application. So I will demonstrate that here in a minute. So div class name row mx0, again going back to my topic before about wanting to specify not having a padding or margin on the left or right hand side. Nav class name navbar, and I like to have my navbar dark. I don't know why. BG dark, sticky top, overflow scroll. Now let me explain what all this was. Navbar is the class name for the Bootstrap navbar. Navbar dark makes it dark. So then that way you can put in your menu items and it automatically says, hey, let's turn the text white, or at least very light gray. Sticky top. Well, BG dark is basically a very dark background. Sticky top is very similar to fixed bottom in that it keeps the menu at the very top, or it keeps the navbar at the very top of your page, regardless of how far down the page you are. Overflow scroll, we will touch on that here in a bit, but just know that it will allow an overflow, but just know that you have to scroll in order to see everything. Actually, we won't need that because we're not going to have that many menu items. So div class name container. And notice I'm not putting container fluid or px0, and that's because I want it to be a standard width container where the maximum width is 900 pixels. Any screen size bigger than 900 pixels, which most computer screens nowadays are pretty much bigger than that, it will cap at 900 pixels for that particular element. Anything smaller than that, then it'll automatically adjust. Then we're going to go ahead and do well, no, hold that thought. We need to import one more thing. We need import link from next link. Now, why are we doing this? With Next.js applications, yes, there is a single page application feel to it, but in order to truly behave like a single page application, you need to use what's called a link as opposed to an anchor tag. And the link is only available through next link. And next link basically makes it act like a hyperlink, like an anchor tag, but it allows that feel for that single page application feel. If you don't have that specified, then what it'll do is it'll hard refresh the application every single time that you click on a link. So that's why I'm doing it this way. We're going to go ahead and do this. Oh, I forgot one more thing. Class name, navbar brand. I'm just going to go ahead and do my app as the navbar brand. What this will do is it will have that branding at the top left hand corner of the website of the application. So now we're going to go button class name. I almost typed in class name. Navbar toggler. Type is button. DataBS toggle off canvas. Now, why are we doing off canvas? We are doing off canvas because we are not going to be satisfied with just having the hamburger menu show up on the mobile version of this particular application. We want it to show up on mobile and on desktop. So DataBS target is going to be class name of off canvas menu. Area controls is going to again be off canvas menu. Aria expanded is going to be false. And what that does is it makes it so that, so if you set Aria expanded to true, what it'll do is on larger desktop screens is that it will set it to where you can actually see the menu. But because we want to have a hamburger menu for both desktop and mobile, I set it to false. Aria label, oh, goodness, label equals toggle. And then we're going to put in a span of navbar toggler icon. And yes, it's going to automatically just put that in there. Now the fun part, div class name. Off canvas end, background dark, text background dark, tab index equals -1. ID is off canvas menu. That's where this DataBS toggle and no, the target I should say, and Aria controls come into play. Aria labeled, labeled by menu label. Okay, not label, label. Oh my goodness, I cannot type right now. So we're going to go ahead, div class name off canvas header my app. And then we're going to go ahead and div class name off canvas body. And we're going to keep it real simple. UL class name, and what UL is, for those that don't know, is it's an unordered list. So basically it's a list with bullet points. Navbar nav, we're going to go justify content end and PE3. basically it gives a padding at the end, so on your right hand side. Li class name nav item link href equals that class name nav link. And here's where this comes into play right here, the close menu. On click capture, close menu, home. And then we're going to copy paste that entire thing, and we're going to go ahead with a page called hello there. And we're just going to label it as not home. Like I said, very simple. All right, so we're going to save that. Don't mind the desktop making noises. So now we're going to go back to our structure here. Pages, we're going to add a hello there.js, and we're just going to do very simple. Okay, we're going to keep this as is, just because I don't want to spend too much time reworking this. We're just going to go ahead and export default hello. Return, make sure that you include your return right here, because if you don't, React/Next is going to be like, dude, what is this? What are you trying to do here? Yeah. Let's go ahead and include our opening and closing tags here, and we're just going to go Obi-Wan Kenobi and say hello there. So now what should happen when we run dev is it should theoretically have that particular, oh my goodness. All right, hold on. So let's see if this works. Yeah, I mean, you're obviously not going to be able to see it, but okay, so okay, I see what's going on here. So I have to do this then. No? Give me a minute. Ah, that's what I messed up on. Maybe. Let's try that. Yeah, I guess we won't be able to do arrow functions on that one. Okay, we'll do that some other time. I'm so used to typing it out the long way, to where it's like, you know, const something equals this, and arrow function, and at the very bottom, it does the whole export default. So, yeah. And you'll notice it says here, fast refresh had to perform a full reload due to a runtime error. And what the runtime error was it was basically saying, hey, I have no idea what the hell you're doing. Can you help me out here? So now that we've got all that stuff figured out, let's take a look at our, where is the thing? Why are we not seeing that in our options? Is it just not wanting to do it? What's going on? Here we go, maybe. Yep, okay, cool. So now, as you can see, everything is lined out very nicely. This is the default index page templating that Next.js 14 provides. But as you can see, we have our header right here with our My App thing, and the Hi Mom copyright on the bottom. And of course, this is now able to go back and forth on the off canvas, and we're going to go ahead and go to not home. We got one other little issue going on here. But as you can see, that is now working just fine. So now we're going to figure out why it's doing that. I know why. I know exactly why. So I messed up. All right. So basically what I messed up on is I forgot to add the close button in here in the header. So we're going to do this real quick. Button type is button, class name, button close white. Basically, it gives an X button that's white. That's what that is. Data BS dismiss, off canvas, data BS target is going to be off canvas menu, ARIA label is not label, Jesus, close, ID button close. That is what we were missing. And you didn't even see any of that. Oh well. So now you can see that there's a close button right here and it's able to close. And now we can go back and forth between these two pages and you'll see that it is doing exactly what I wanted it to do. It's closing the menu as you're selecting the particular item. And that's the only way to do it that way, because otherwise, if you try to incorporate the data BS dismiss directly into the link, it'll dismiss the off canvas without selecting the link, without selecting that particular link to go to that particular page. So I think that is good enough for a template. And that's going to be our template for all future projects for Next.js. So anytime that I create a game plan on how to show off something that I learned in Next.js, we're going to use this particular application for that. So let's go ahead and switch this back now to the cat running around like crazy in the background. Or me, that works too. Yeah. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that for the last 40 minutes. I definitely recommend, I know some people look down on templating, but if you do it right, if you do the templating right, and you do it in a way that gives you the flexibility to incorporate certain things like changing the background of the header from black to blue or from black to green, or basically changing all the backgrounds depending on the branding, changing the My App brand in the header to an image, whether it be a logo or something else, doing stuff like that. Little things like that I think will help make a developer's life a lot easier, which I'm all for. I'm all for making developers' lives easier and making developers' jobs easier so that they can put more high quality stuff out and make more money. Because really, I know we hate saying it, but that's part of why we do what we do, is we want to make money, but we also want to make our clients money. So I hope you enjoyed this little exhibition. I will be back on Friday with a life pod. Hopefully the cat is not as crazy on that episode as he's being right now. Oh boy, I gotta fix that. That's part of why I've been down for 2 weeks. Anyway, so thank you guys again for downloading, for watching, for listening, for donating, for doing everything that you do to support the podcast. It does not go without notice, so thank you. And until the next time that you see me, which will be on Friday, remember to include your closing tags. And remember, templating is not evil. This has been a Galactic Digital Studios production.